See, now, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night, baby. We know why this triple threat match was made for TLC for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The first ever for the ladies, a TLC match. Tables, ladders, and chairs, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte versus Asuka. That's right, Asuka earned her way into this match with Becky and Charlotte, but we know why this is being done. This is being done for Asuka to do the deed, to do the job in that match. That's how Vince operates. That's how the WWE operates. Anybody with any fucking common sense and logic for how Vince and WWE operates knows this. The second this deed was done last night and Asuka eliminated Sonya Deville, I immediately had that fucking dreadful feeling that Asuka is now just going over to TLC to do the job. So you could look at it one of two ways. Hey, BC, at least she's in a high-profile match. She was just stuck with Naomi, and there's no signs of her getting out of that tag team with the tag team championships coming next year. So Asuka was only supposed to be stuck with Naomi, just like Sasha is stuck with Bayley. It's all for the tag team championships next year. So yeah, you could look at it like, hey, at least she gets a high-profile match, but I'd rather her get a high-profile match where she's looking like the dominant motherfucker that she is, and here's a concept, winning her matches. She was plucked from her tag team out of nowhere with Naomi and put in this match because Vince wanted the easy way out. He didn't want to do the deed the way the deed should be done. And that's up front. So I'll pluck somebody who should not be losing that match and I'll let them get pinned flat on their back. Or much worse, he'll probably make her tap out like he made her tap out at WrestleMania to Charlotte. But Asuka is not walking out of that motherfucker with that strap. That's obvious. Anybody with a fucking brain in their skull knows this. There's some people that think Asuka's walking out with the fucking strap. This is clearly setting up Charlotte to win this motherfucker. Becky Lynch would win the Royal Rumble, and then she gets to make the epic decision. Do I face Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, once my friend, now bitter enemy? Or do I do the dream match that was ripped away from me from the beginning? And do I go with Ronda Rousey? That's how I would book this shit. WWE fucked up in the beginning anyway. The second that Survivor Series match was canceled and Becky Lynch could not compete, I would have stripped her from that championship. Give it back to her, absolutely. Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, I don't give a fuck when. But she's definitely going to get it back, and when she gets it back, it's going to mean so much more. The pop is going to be so much more enormous when she wins that. The crowd is going to erupt. We're going to be fucking bouncing off the fucking walls because it's going to be even more epic. Because the story's told even more beautifully. She finally gets the championship. She's riding this wave of momentum fucking straight to the moon. And it gets ripped away from her. And not only can she not compete in the fucking main event at Survivor Series, she gets her championship stripped from her. Now everybody wants to see her return to that fucking glory before it's ripped away from her. And when she gets it, it's going to be that much more epic. Instead, so in other words, to do that, you would have had to keep her off TV for another week, maybe even 2 more weeks. At least. Instead, they kept it on her. They have her come back last night. Still not competing. Still don't think she's cleared to actually compete. So that's again why I would have kept her off. Strip her of that championship would have been more fucking epic. They have her keep the championship. But they don't want Becky Lynch to lose now because they know the crowd would fucking erupt in fucking an enormous negative reaction. But come on, Vince, at least it's a reaction. But they knew that would not fly over too well at TLC. So they needed somebody as the scapegoat. They needed somebody to do the job. Vince was not going to have his golden child, Charlotte, do the job. He knows the fans would erupt and riot if Becky does the job. So they needed fucking poor little old Asuka, minding her little business with her little Naomi tag team. That's where they put her in. Oh, now we need you, Asuka. Hey, Asuka, you want a big match out of nowhere? Come on, we need you. You're going to lose, obviously, but make them look good. Make that match fucking epic. And at the very end, we just need you to do the job. And don't worry, right after TLC, we're going to put you back with Naomi. And sooner or later, we're going to give you the tag straps. After Bayley and Sasha get it for a little bit. Right? That's all this is. Use your fucking head. Why do you think they just scooped Asuka out of nowhere? She was in obscurity with Naomi in a tag team, and now all of a sudden Asuka's gonna get the championship? Fuck out of here. I see what's going on, man. So Asuka, listen, is the match gonna be fucking cool? Is that a little bit of intrigue? A little bit of fucking suspense? Absolutely. First of all, a TLC match with Becky and Charlotte would have been fucking cool. Even though we've seen all of that in their last match. I believe it was at Evolution. Fucking chairs, ladders, tables. They were bouncing off the fucking ropes. Bouncing off the barricades. So we basically saw a TLC match at Evolution. But I'll watch it again. Just like Sasha and Charlotte, I could watch a million times. That's a rematch I'm okay with. Because I know they're bringing the fucking goods. And they're doing something epic and innovative every single time. So I'm willing to see that one-on-one yet again. First time ever, though. Technically, right, with the TLC name, even though we saw them in a TLC match. Non-technically. Is that a fucking word? Non-technically? I just became a fucking word because I used it. So I would have been happy with that. You throw in Asuka, yeah, this is fucking badass. 3 fucking badass competitors beating the shit out of each other. It's just gonna suck at the very end when what we know what this is all for actually comes to fruition. Whether they had Becky walk out of TLC with the championship, and what I would have done, again, is have Becky win the Royal Rumble. But whether they have Becky walk out of TLC with the championship, or they give the championship to Charlotte, and they do have Becky go over to the Rumble and win that, the point is you're still having Asuka go in there and dropping another big match. So all the fans, the casuals, the mainstream media fans, every time they remember Asuka in a big match, at a big pay-per-view of any sort, she's always losing. This isn't NXT anymore. You gotta prove yourself on the main roster. That WrestleMania match with Charlotte was huge for Asuka. That was going to catapult her career on the main roster or totally kill it. It ended up killing it. I was okay with that loss if it was gonna mean something bigger, the bigger picture, and they had something really epic for Asuka. Dreadfully, they did not, and I should have known better. Here we are again, another huge opportunity for Asuka. You're not gonna get revenge for that loss at WrestleMania. Listen, that's huge. That'll never be able to be rectified. You can never go back on that. That was horrible. But at least you could save yourself some bit of grace. Salvage anything possibly that you can salvage in your career right now can be made up at TLC. But we all know what this is for. This is for Asuka to fall at the hands of Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. This is all to do the deed, to do the job. That's what this is. That's why she was added into a triple threat. That's the only reason. That's the only reason Vince McMahon adds a third person in to these type of matches and makes them triple threats. Because he needs a fall guy, it's called. For Vince, he always wants the fall guy. Well, this is the fall guy. Woman. So, it's frustrating. It honestly is. SmackDown starts off. Becky Lynch makes her return. The cheers weren't as vivid, but the crowd wasn't as lit or vivid either. So, I definitely think that the time off from the ring for Becky Lynch, the time away from that camera, at the peak of her fucking career at that time, definitely hurt Becky Lynch. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. What's Booker T always say? The worst thing for a pro wrestler is time off. It's the worst fucking thing for a multitude of reasons. But especially when you're hitting your fucking stride and if you're not on camera, like at least when Stone Cold was off and he couldn't compete, he was still there every week. So he was capitalizing on that momentum. Becky Lynch just took off. Charlotte Flair has this fucking epic shit going on with Ronda Rousey. The whole crowd is fucking cheering now for Charlotte. Charlotte last night comes down to the ring to face with Becky. Charlotte's getting cheered. Charlotte's cheers are right there with fucking Becky at first. Listen to those woos and Charlotte cheers, man. What the fuck? You're telling me she's not riding a little bit of that fucking steam from Survivor Series that was supposed to be Becky's? Bullshit. Whether it was forced from Vince or not, people are digging heel Charlotte, and that's where Charlotte's at her best. So something about Becky last night didn't feel as hot as before she got injured. Hopefully that changes. Charlotte was on her game. On the microphone, when Charlotte gets to be the heel Charlotte, she's on her fucking game. And she was spitting right back with the queen on the mic herself, which is Becky Lynch right now, and on the fucking keyboard. But Becky Lynch and Charlotte, I love their one-on-one. Paige makes that match for TLC. And then all of a sudden, Mandy Rose comes down with all the heels. The women heels, they all come down and say, listen, any one of us can be a competitor for that championship. But of course, you're going to give it to Charlotte. And Paige is like, hey, you know, you got a fucking point. Paige goes to say something. Naomi in the faces for the women come down. Which, by the way, why the fuck is Mandy Rose just chumming it up with Sonya Deville again? I thought there was friction there. Now all of a sudden they're buddy-buddy again. Again, this is nothing making sense. No continuity, no consistency with WWE. It's like Dana Brooke celebrating with Sasha and Bayley Saturday night for Starrcade. And then all of a sudden Monday night, Dana Brooke is attacking Bayley and Sasha with no meaning or reasoning behind it. The commentators don't even know what the fuck's going on. She just turns heel in the midst of stupidity. No continuity, no consistency. I guess we're used to that, and that's a fucking problem. So here come the faces. You got Naomi, you got Asuka, you got Carmella, maybe somebody else. Who the fuck knows at this point? Everybody's out there. And Paige is like, y'all bring up a good point. Let's have ourselves a good old-fashioned battle royal later tonight. And the winner is added on to Charlotte and Becky Lynch's SmackDown Women's Championship match at TLC in a TLC match. So that's our main event. We go to the Women's Battle Royal. It's what we thought it would be. It's a Women's Battle Royal. When there's enough time to plan this out, spot for spot, and you give it enough attention, it could be cool like the Royal Rumble or even at Evolution. But when you don't have that type of time, it ends up being what we saw last night. To where the ending was Sonya Deville and Asuka on the outside on the apron, and Asuka just gives her knee to the face of Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville falls to the floor. Asuka wins the match. If you watch the crowd behind her, it caught everyone off guard, or they just weren't interested. It took 6 seconds for the front rows to finally even stand up and start golf clapping. It just seemed very, very anticlimactic. That's what it was. That's the perfect word. Anticlimactic. You get this big moment for Asuka, and it was just, I don't know, the crowd being dead for it too didn't help matters. And maybe it's just the underlining issue that I just know what this is for. So you would say, BC, Asuka had a big moment on SmackDown. She won a Battle Royal. Yeah, but knowing Vince's fucking plan here, it's not for something epic. If this was cool, like Asuka wins this, she goes on to TLC, and she actually wins the championship out of nowhere, that's cool. But we know. This is not an opinion. This is not what we think. We know what this is for. Asuka's been chilling out with Naomi in this tag team like Sasha and Bayley over on Raw, waiting for next year's tag team championship arrival. That's all they have for Asuka and Naomi. Vince's fucking SmackDown top tiers is filled with Becky and Charlotte for the championship. If it was up to Vince, Charlotte would have it right now. But Becky has it because she actually had this organic rise with the fans. But Vince really wants on Charlotte. Where do you think Asuka fits into the equation? You think Vince just plucked her from Naomi's tag team and said, all right, you know what? We're giving it to Asuka. You honestly think that's the only way that would ever happen is if Vince was seriously considering a horsewomen match at Mania. And he really needed to start that so that Charlotte and Becky cannot have the championship. But if you think Becky's going to win the Royal Rumble and go for a championship and Charlotte's just going to sit there without a championship, bullshit. Asuka's doing the deed, or at least that's the original plan right now, I promise you, with Vince. He didn't just go, what do we do here? Becky's coming back. I want the belt on Charlotte, but everyone wants Becky with the... Hey, let's get Asuka. Is she still not... Let's put the belt on her. Fuck it. You think Vince just fucking woke up one morning and said that's what he wants to do? No, there's no reason to do that shit. So I think knowing that, it put a damper on it. Yeah, it's going to be cool. Asuka gets a big match. Hey, it's cool. Asuka's in there with Becky and Charlotte. That should be a damn good match on what is supposed to be a good card on paper at least. AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. TLC is looking fucking badass. This match with the ladies, badass. Ronda beating and tapping out Nia Jax. Fuck yeah. I'll take that shit. End that fucking misery for all of us. It's just gonna suck when it's said and done, guys. It's gonna suck for a big Asuka fan who has followed her even before NXT. It's gonna suck to see her do the deed at TLC because she just deserves so much more than that, man. Wow. To lose all your big matches on the main roster. You know, don't even try to tell me BC, at least they're giving her a big match. Come on, man. Come on. Shit. If that's, man, I don't know. If those are her big moments, then this is a tragic situation, more so than we thought. But that was the big storyline last night. A big TLC match is named. Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and all of a sudden, Asuka out of nowhere. And now you guys, if you guys didn't know, now you know. If you guys are actually like holding out hope, wow, Asuka's gonna win the championship out of, no, guys, come on, man. Use your fucking heads, guys. I mean, it's Vince. Don't get me wrong. Anything can change. Up until the fucking minute the match happens, Vince could change his mind. An injury could happen. Vince could just want to go a different way and go with the horsewomen match. Anything could change, but don't get it twisted. We know why this was done. Originally, anyway. And that's, you know, that's not cool. Moving on, there was something cool, but that's the ladies, man. That's all I'm going to fucking talk about that. We're going to let this thing develop. I'm going to let it sink in even more, fathom it, fucking process this shit. And we'll talk more about it later this week, obviously, and in the coming weeks before TLC. But what I want to talk about, guys, is this Jeff Hardy segment last night, because I have a lot to talk about on this. I'll try to shorten it, but something to get off my fucking chest here. And that is this. For those that wonder what I mean when I say Raw is nothing but redundant matches, aside from the obvious, right? Everyone knows what I mean by that. It's just rematch after rematch after rematch. 6 of them this past Monday, actually. 6 rematches, 1 show. But what do I really mean? Like, you might be thinking, but BC, what could you really do? Like, what do you... You have to just throw out matches. There's only a certain amount of superstars. There's only a certain amount of matches you can have. You gotta save some of the best matches for the pay-per-views. So, BC, it's one thing to just fucking, like, bitch about it and call it rematch after rematch, but what would you do, BC? Guys, it's simple. The formula is not something that a rocket scientist needs to figure it out. The formula is you build stories and characters, and you put those characters into those stories, you rocket fuel that into feuds, and that's what we want to see at the pay-per-view. So how do you build the characters, the storylines, and the feuds? That is done on your television shows. And you do that not always by wrestling. I understand we're tuning into a wrestling show, but that doesn't mean you have to give us 10 fucking matches every Monday night just to give us wrestling matches. Because 99.99.99% of the time, it's going to be redundant bullshit. And that's what it is. Back in the day, even on Superstars of Wrestling, granted, that was a 1-hour show, but you can go to when Monday Night Raw became a 2-hour show. Back in the day, they took it out from just the wrestling, and they put the characters in the feuds in these cool storylines. It could start in a promo in the ring. You could be backstage. You could be in the parking lot. You could be the AOP in a bar room. You could be Booker T and Stone Cold in a supermarket. You could bring in beer trucks, cement trucks. Monster trucks? I remember the Intercontinental title feuds where the fucking challenger would steal the title, throw it into the fucking river. That would really piss off the champion. You threw my fucking gold into a fucking river. These were real storylines that we used to watch on Monday Night Raw. That's what made the television show, the entertainment we were watching, here's a concept, that's what made it entertaining. They got creative. What would you do, BC? I mean, there's not much you could do. You have to put on wrestling. Guys, it doesn't have to be rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch. And I'll do you one better. It doesn't even have to be match after 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 match. Fade to black, Raw goes off the air. That's not what pro wrestling is. Yes, it's cute to say we tune in to pro wrestling for the pro wrestling. But what is really pro wrestling? It's larger than life characters. It's epic feuds and stories. That's what makes pro wrestling, in my opinion and in most people's opinion, better than even the MMA, which is real combat fighting. But that doesn't have that spark, that entertainment value like WWE and pro wrestling in general has. So where is Raw going wrong? And I use Raw more than SmackDown. It's because they fail to build characters and superstars. They fail to do that. They know the formula, they just don't do it. No characters are being really made. Everybody is 50-50 booked. And for those of you that don't know what 50-50 booked is, it's when you're losing 1 week and winning 2 weeks. Then losing 3 weeks and winning 2 weeks. Lose 1 week, win the next week. Nobody knows if you're fucking good or not because you're 50-50 booked. So you're not building characters and you're not building stories and feuds because you just have matches every fucking back to back to back to back every week. You're not doing anything cool. You'll have a promo segment here and there. That's not building shit. Because we're not invested. You're not captivating us in anything. So what they do on Raw is they just throw together all these rematches because you're right. They don't have enough superstars to have something fresh every week and still have something epic for the pay-per-view. So Vince is just like, fuck it. Let's take the easy way out. Vince loves taking the easy way out the past several years. Just like he's doing with Asuka. Asuka will do the deed for Becky and Charlotte. Charlotte saves face. Becky saves face. Asuka will take the fall. He takes the easy way out on everything. Same thing with fucking Raw. Yes, it takes a lot of time and effort and creativity and passion, desire, motivation, determination, inspiration, all of these things. You have to invest into building characters and building stories and feuds. You have to do that. Whether you love Vince Russo or not, he'll tell you the fucking story. Or him and Ed Ferreira. I've been saying this all week. It was only 2 writers back in the Attitude Era. And Ed Ferreira would go to Vince Russo's house and they would spend all day brainstorming. They made this their life's mission to make every show fucking epic. Vince Russo says the story best where he would bring a script to Vince McMahon and he would make sure that script was so fucking good that Vince McMahon could never deny it. Because Vince was notorious for denying everything. But Vince Russo wanted to make sure that he presented a script to Vince that even he had a problem with saying no to. That's how epic it was. I missed that shit. Now they have 65 writers and they don't do shit. What is creative about putting the same matches together back to 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 back 12 fucking times every fucking week? Nothing. You want to know why we cling to the Attitude Era? Why we won't let it go? Or why we reference it all the time? Yes, it was a different day and age. Yes, you can't get away with the same shit today. You don't have to do the same shit that they did back in the day. But you do have to get creative. You do have to build stories and feuds and characters for us to give a shit. You just have to. Back in the day, they did it creatively. Stuff you could still do today. Monster trucks running over limousines. Vince McMahon's limousine. You can't do that today? That's not PG. That's not PC. DX. on top of Stamford, Connecticut's headquarters, WWE headquarters, spray painting DX on the headquarters. Little shit like that, we remember. A guy throwing a championship title into the river. Stealing the title, throwing it into the river. That's cool. We just saw a wrestling match, now we pan to some fucking river. A dude's cutting a promo on the guy he's going to take the title from for good at the next fucking pay-per-view. But beforehand, he's going to have to go fetch his title. And he throws that into a fucking river. That shit I remember. Hardcore championship. Remember the rules? It has to be defended 24/7. So while Raw's going on there, while Raw's happening, backstage, that championship is being defended nonstop. Somebody could be a catering eating, and somebody would attack him from behind and pin him for the championship. And then all throughout the show, back in the locker room, you don't know what's happening, and they would keep cutting back in the hardcore championship. The hardcore champion is always having to look over his back. Guys, I'm giving you a ton of these ways to build not only characters, but stories, and build entertaining segments. I just gave you a plethora off the top of my head. You give me 10 minutes over a beer or a coffee, I'll give you fucking 100 more. You can't come out with 1 or 2 of these things a week? That's what I mean. BC, how could you change it? You can't, man. Yes, you really fucking can. And of course you have the wrestling. On every Monday Night Raw, I would have 6 matches at the most. 3 of them will be cool matches, one-on-one matches that we've either never seen before, or we've seen it, it's a rematch, but it's built up cool. It's a rematch we actually want to see. But 3 a week, limit it to that, and then it's not so redundant. And then the other 3 matches should be with jobbers. And something cool happens within those matches to build not only characters and superstars, but also stories for the pay-per-view. Because back in Superstars of Wrestling, back in the late 80s and early 90s, that's how you did it. They didn't have all these one-on-one matches with a superstar versus a superstar. It was a superstar versus a jobber. And they built it fine. Every match at their pay-per-views I wanted to see because I was invested. And back in the 80s, they did it so fucking cool, man. Jake Roberts calls out the Macho Man. Remember that? And Macho Man gets hung up in the ropes and Jake Roberts takes out his snake and it's no longer the Python Damien. No, this is the new Cobra. And he actually puts the Cobra to Macho Man's face and the Cobra bites down on Macho's arm. He swoops down to the arm and starts biting, gnawing at Macho Man's arm. Macho Man starts fucking bleeding. If you were a kid down in that era, you were fucking cringing, maybe even fucking crying, looking away, yelling for your mommy. You're seeing a guy getting bit by a cobra, you're thinking he's dying. Macho Man getting bit by a fucking cobra snake. That's in the 80s, guys. Late 80s, early 90s. One of the two. You can't come out with epic shit in 2018? The fuck? You ain't got to go out there with a chainsaw and start cutting people up. But fuck, give us something creative. Where am I going with all this? Right? We're supposed to be talking SmackDown. Well, this leads me, because we went on that whole rant and raving yesterday about how that was just a horrendous fucking Raw, like they all are usually. And then you look at this Jeff Hardy segment, and that is just a couple of people getting together, or maybe it's all 65, who the fuck knows, and they actually got creative. They said, all right, Vince wants us to do Samoa Joe and Jeff Hardy. How do you want to do this? How about we do something original? How about we do something cool? Let's celebrate Jeff Hardy's 20 years in the company. We'll have the posters, we'll have everybody come out, we'll have Michael Cole there, so it even seems more special. Not that we love Michael Cole, but Michael Cole's from Raw, so we know he's Vince's head guy. So hey, Cole's there, this has got to be something big. And Jeff Hardy comes out, they have a huge video package up on the Tron, everybody's watching it. This is a big thing. And then Samoa Joe comes out. And Samoa Joe is fucking looking at Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon's like, not now, this isn't the time. Samoa Joe's like, let me just say what I gotta say. And Samoa Joe is like, you gotta forgive me, Jeff, for being a little late. I had a champagne ready in the back. I was about to pop it open and raise a toast, but then I thought, you know what? It's Jeff Hardy. Maybe maybe champagne isn't the best idea. And obviously he's bringing up Jeff Hardy's past, where he had some alcohol issues and fought his own demons with alcohol and many other things. So not only does Samoa Joe crash this party, this parade, as Jeff Hardy called it, and Jeff Hardy told Samoa Joe, you're not going to rain on my parade, but Samoa Joe kind of did right from the beginning. And he hit him low blow with some personal shit. And Samoa Joe didn't stop there. He almost did. Shane McMahon finally cut him off again. He said, no, Joe, get out of here. And off the mic, you could hear Samoa Joe screaming at Shane McMahon, what, I can't tell the truth? And so Jeff Hardy gets on the mic. Jeff Hardy's like, no, Shane, let him through. Let him talk. Say what you got to say, Joe. And Samoa Joe keeps it going and says, I'm sick and tired of people getting second chances, and I don't even believe in second chances, especially when guys like me, men like me, don't even get our first chance. And no matter how many times you raise these people out of their seats, you've also let them down just as many times. And yet you stand in that ring and you put yourself on a pedestal that you should not be on. Samoa Joe was hitting hard last night. He is epic on that microphone, and he didn't disappoint last night. And Jeff Hardy's like, fine, you know what? This is my night, but we don't need to talk. If you got something to say, we can say it with our fists. Puts the mic down, tears down his poster boards like, come on in, Joe. And Joe's like, hell no, not right now. And you know what Joe's thinking. This will be on my time. Joe turns around, gives a grin to Shane McMahon and all the superstars up at the rampway, and he bolts off. But you know this isn't the end. Now, if you gave me this any other way, this is just Jeff Hardy and Samoa Joe in a feud I could care less about. But no. SmackDown is doing it yet again, the same way they did it with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. They actually built a cool story and a cool feud where Samoa Joe made it personal. Samoa Joe even went to AJ's house. They took it out of the ring and they made it cool outside, taking it to AJ's house, making it even more personal, more entertaining. That's cool, that's fun, that's intriguing. That helped AJ Styles and Samoa Joe even more. Even though we know they're two epic competitors. But when you have a story and a feud to go along with it, man, that's entertaining. So Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, just throwing that together in some stupid fucking way where Jeff Hardy is having a match, maybe even another rematch with Randy Orton, and at the end, Samoa Joe comes in and beats up Jeff Hardy, and all of a sudden, that's the start of the feud. I'm not buying that shit. It's not fun. I've seen it a million times. I'm done. Or you could get creative and actually start a story and it becomes a feud. There's a concept! SmackDown does that a million times better than Raw. How do I know this? How do we know this? Because we've seen them do it a million times more than Raw. Again, Samoa Joe with AJ Styles recently, and now he's doing it again with Jeff Hardy. Something simple like that is my point, guys. Celebrating Jeff Hardy's 20 years in the company and Joe ruining the party, crashing the party. That is simplistic. That doesn't take an abundant amount of creativity, an abundant amount of time away from your schedule to pencil that in. So why can't that be done all the time? In different ways. Different superstars. Come on, bro. They actually got creative last night. And they said, hey, if we're going to do this, let's do this in a fun, intriguing way, a different way, an organic way. How many times do you see WWE celebrating somebody's tenure in the company? Right? There's been guy, Undertaker, 25 fucking years tenured in the... Well, actually, Undertaker celebrated all the fucking time. But there's guys who have been there years and years. And their tenure does not matter to WWE. So it was cool. It was original, man. It's like, wow, they're doing something special for Jeff. And then here comes Dastardly D. Joe. Crash the party. I love that, man. I was into that. I really was. It was, like I said, different. And that's all you have to do to get me invested into a storyline, to get me invested into a feud. Make me give a shit about the characters involved. If I don't give a shit about the characters involved, no matter what they did in the past, the right here and now, why am I giving a shit about Jeff and Samoa Joe? Why? Give me a reason. That's a reason. Jeff Hardy is getting all of these accolades for being in the company for 20 years, and Joe just tapped out again to AJ Styles at Starrcade. 2 times now he's tapped out to AJ Styles. He's gotten nothing accomplished. And he's watching a guy who's been there for 20 years get even more accolades. And Joe said it himself, I'm sick of watching guys like you get second chances, and men like me don't even get our first. I love that, man. There is a reason! Love that segment. Absolutely. More than a golf clap for SmackDown on there, man. Where else you guys want to go? Randy Orton was cutting a promo on Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio comes down to the ring with his brace still on. Fucking bruised fucking throat or some shit. I have no fucking idea. He tries to get in some shots on Orton, but obviously Orton gets the fucking upper hand. Orton starts flinging around Rey Mysterio every which way. Mysterio is able to get the upper hand again. I think Orton got the upper hand last. I don't fucking know, man. This is, I would like to see them take it backstage. There's nothing more they can do in the ring. I'm glad it wasn't a Rey Mysterio match and Orton just interfered at the end, because that's so redundant. I've seen it a million times. I'm glad they didn't do that with them two. So at least they did it where Orton's cutting a promo and Mysterio's the one that come down to the ring. So that was, I guess, minorly different. But I want to see something in the back with this. Mysterio's at catering or some shit, and Orton comes out of nowhere in catering and starts beating the shit out of Mysterio. Give me that. Make it cool. Make it original with these two. I just feel Orton constantly attacking people and RKOing out of nowhere in the ring. Yeah, it's cool, but it's beginning to be played out. After that Hardy feud with Orton, I'm kind of worn out from this whole Orton shit. You gotta refresh him again already, because Orton has the character to become stale real quick. He's gotta start doing some backstage shit and become really fucking dastardly. And then I'll give a shit about Mysterio and Orton. What else did we have? We did have the redundancy rematch, obviously, but I'm gonna throw him a mulligan because the rest of the show actually fucking flowed much better than Raw a million times. I guess that's not even a comparison. But their rematch and redundancy was, fucking The Bar and the Usos. I remember them wrestling at Survivor Series 2017. You want to talk rematch? I'm not even talking this year, guys. 2017, The Bar and the Usos were fighting each other. Am I right? I think I am. In fact, I know I am, because I do my research. July 31st of this year, I know they fought again, because that was even better than their Survivor Series match, I felt. And I know they fought a few more times as well. Those are just a couple of times off the top of my head. So another rematch. I don't need to see The Bar and the only thing good here, guys, for me, was that before the match, they showed what happened backstage earlier in the day. And The Bar said they no longer need Big Show. And Cesaro was talking shit to the Big Show, and Big Show knocked out Cesaro. Cesaro lands in Sheamus' hands, and Sheamus is yelling to Big Show, "What are you doing, man? Why'd you do that?" And afterwards, Cesaro and Sheamus are just like, you know what, we don't need him anyway. So I'm glad that's done, because I don't know why the Big Show was with Cesaro and Sheamus. All Big Show was doing to Cesaro and Sheamus was holding them down. Big Show was like a big anchor to Cesaro and Sheamus. They don't need him. They're barely relevant on their own, and I like Cesaro. I like Sheamus. The Bar, they're becoming non-existent if they weren't already, even when they had the championships. That's the sad truth. You can hate the Amplified Man all you want for delivering the truth, but that is the truth. The Big Show was doing nothing but hurting them even more. I believe the Usos actually picked up the victory here too, guys. Didn't really matter to me. It's just another redundant rematch, so didn't put too much stock into that. The Miz took a pin by Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston defeated The Miz. Now, I like Kofi. I like the New Day. But what the fuck is The Miz eating another pin this week? Last week, he was losing against a jobber. This week, he's losing against Kofi Kingston. I'm thinking, okay, I like funny Miz. I like when he's fucking entertaining, over the top, funny as hell. But that doesn't mean he should be losing. So I was kind of a little befuddled by that until a few segments later. When Shane McMahon's backstage, they got the trophy next to him, the Best in the World trophy. And Miz comes up and he's like, "Where were you?" And Shane is like, "What are you talking about? I'm doing business." He's on his phone. And Miz is like, We can't do this. I need you by my side. I am 2/3 of the best in the world, and I need the other third. If we're going to do this, we have to be on the same page. I'm out there with 3 individuals, the New Day, and you're nowhere to be found. And Shane is like, what do you, Miz, there is no we. And Miz is like, no, whether you like it or not, we are bonded by this trophy. This is like our kid. This is our kid. We have a kid together. And he starts going off, and Shane is like, what the fuck is this lunatic talking about? So it was really funny at the end, and it really played itself out perfectly. So when it was all said and done, the loss to Kofi Kingston made a lot more sense, and I liked it a lot more, man. And I like where this is going, this direction with Miz and Shane. And maybe you got something cool in the future with Miz and Shane. I don't know, in a tag team? Does this lead to one-on-one? I have no fucking idea, but I'm liking it right now. It makes you wonder. The original idea, was it supposed to be Daniel Bryan and Miz in this role? I think it was. And Shane McMahon now is in it because Vince McMahon took Daniel Bryan into the Brock Lesnar match, put the strap on Daniel Bryan, so now Daniel Bryan's whole thing with The Miz was ripped away, and now it looks like they're just inserting Shane McMahon. But hey, whatever it is, it's working. And Miz is now carrying the entire load. But I still think Miz and Daniel Bryan would have worked really well too. So anyway, that's just a little side shit that happened on SmackDown as well. Not a huge storyline, but something that was definitely funny. What else, guys? Fucking, was there anything else? Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Rusev comes down. He's supposed to have a match with Shinsuke. But Shinsuke jumps Rusev before the bell rings, beats him up a little bit, knee to face, and then he walks away. And that was it. That was like 2 minutes. The match never started. And I guess we're going to get Rusev and Shinsuke in the future? I've already seen this match, so I don't need... I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that. But evidently, they only had 2 minutes, and they said, hey, we got to use Rusev, we got to use Shinsuke. Let's do this. I don't know where the fuck this is headed. I don't know if I want it to head that way. I don't know if I'm going to be interested in this shit. Again, it all comes down to them making us give a shit. If you can make us invested into the characters, then we'll go along for the ride in the story. But unfortunately, it doesn't even stop at building the characters. You also then have to build the story. And then if you do it properly, you can build the feud. And then we can have the ultimate payoff. Build the characters, build the stories, build the feuds. You can't do that if you're filling your show with a wrestling match, followed by 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 a wrestling match, times 12. You can't do that. That's not why we love pro wrestling anyway. Of course we love the pro wrestling, but that's not what this business is about. It is about the theatrics. It is about the larger-than-life characters, and it's about those stories and those feuds. Why is Raw suffering the last 10 fucking years at least? It's because it doesn't build superstars. It doesn't build characters. It has shit for storylines, and it builds 0 feuds. At least SmackDown fucking tries. I'm not giving them an A for effort. Absolutely not. They got to do even better than that. But at least it's exponentially better than fucking Raw. So I'm a lot less frustrated than I was after Monday night, I assure you. A little more than a golf clap for SmackDown. Sad for Asuka. Yes, she gets this match at TLC. But when it's all said and done, remember what the Amplified Man said. When you're all pissed off. Oh man, Asuka just ate an L like that? Asuka's tapping out like that, BC? Could you believe it? Yeah, I could fucking believe it. There'll be some impromptu videos later this week, guys, for sure. Trust me on that. As we wind down November, I'm going to go double fist some Starbucks and just kick some fucking ass today, because that's the mood I'm in. But then again, I'm always in that fucking mood. Hopefully you guys kick a lot of ass too, man. Hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for an impromptu video, actually. I want to do something kind of cool. We always like to do something on Thursdays on this channel. So hopefully I'll be able to put something out for you guys. But that was SmackDown, man. Again, exponentially better than Raw. Still has a lot of improvements to go. And we'll see where this road to TLC leads us. Because right now, I'm liking the card. AJ and Bryan. Seth and Dean. Becky and Charlotte again. You throw in Asuka. It should at least be badass. And Ronda Rousey gets to rip the arm off of Nia Jax. I'll watch that. Amplified Man. Check you later.